Uh-huh. I just feel like I've been around the block, ripping up fantasy stock, working around the clock. Look at the view from the top. Researching rookies a lot? No, I just be listening to pods, yeah. One in particular, I'm just a messenger, let me just pass on the rock. Browning, Brunning, Bruning, pronouncing ain't what he's doing. What he's doing is not losing, but infusing you with new things. And there's Dennis the Bennett, yeah. The man is a menace, yeah. Building a dynasty, some of the finest things. Promise you, you won't regret it. Sly as a fox, cultured in pop. Give him his props. Here is a thought, here is a box, and you cannot compare them at all. So don't even try. Careful with the news, but when you use a take, I take up Tony Fire. I mean Dyer, because anyone else is a huge mistake. Whoa, fantasy round table, fantasy round table, yeah. Fantasy round table, come take a look at the crown, baby. Hey, fantasy round table, fantasy round table, woo. Fantasy round table, come take a look at the crown, baby. Go.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football Roundtable Podcast. It is Friday. We are on the cusp of Super Bowl 58. Should be a fun game on Sunday. Lots of fun commercials, lots of fun movie trailers, a concert by Usher in the middle. Kind of wrapping up the 2023 NFL season. We will be talking about the game. We will be going over some of the interesting prop bets, and we will be talking a little bit of news. But Matt, how's your week been?
Not bad at all. You know, I am excited. Would have much rather have been watching, I guess, at least the Lions in this game, so I could really have a strong rooting interest, because I really don't care who wins. Actually, I take it back. I care who wins. I'd like the 49ers to win over the Chiefs. But I'm just excited for hopefully what should be a good game. You know, we talked a little bit on Tuesday, hoping for the Deadpool trailer. That's probably what I'm looking forward to the most out of Sunday.
It's supposedly in there. There's supposed to be a lot of good trailers. Hopefully they'll be exciting.
I'm looking forward to it. No, I think it's going to be a good game, and I'm just looking forward to hopefully a good game. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be competitive. I'm hoping for some funny commercials. I feel like it's been a few years since we had ones that were funny. I know that they moved off of a lot of the sponsors they've had in years past, and a lot of the comedians they've announced that are in different ones. You know, Ross and Rachel are in one, Kate McKinnon's in one, supposedly Seinfeld's in one. So I'm hoping there's some comedy gold to be mined.
I feel like over the past couple of years we've had one funny one that everybody's okay, that was good, and the rest of them are just kind of okay.
And you always have one insurance company that goes with a really somber, serious. I remember, was it during the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl? I think it was Liberty or something. They had one that essentially showed dead children, and I was like, bro, read the room. This is not how you get.
I want to say
they died in a flood or something. An entire family gets flooded out, and they're like, we're there for you. And I'm watching this going, okay, I'm already on the fence because I feel like Patriots are going to win here. And how you showed me dead kids.
Yeah, it's probably not the best. I can't remember what it was. There was one that was sad last year, but I think it was more of I can't remember if it was looking forward to the future kind of thing. I don't remember what it was. But
mind if there's a sweet sadness, but let's get on track. Yeah. Well, before we dive into news, I wanted to give an update on the playoff challenge. Dennis is not here, and that's probably good because he has lost his number one slot. Corbin Dubois is now in first place going into the final weekend. He's just shy of 515 total points, and it looks like he has Christian McCaffrey and Travis Kelce. Dennis sitting at 508, and he has Brock Purdy and Travis Kelce, and that's what's hurt him the last couple of weeks, as most everybody else has Christian McCaffrey. Michael Lewis, who is Sloopy Lou in our league, sitting in third, 491.5 points, not totally out of it, but he has Christian McCaffrey and Rashi Rice. So that gives him a little bit of a chance to maybe make up some ground. It's nice that all three of the guys in first, second, and third place have a different combination of two players.
Yeah.
So we'll see what kind of movement we can get. Before we dive too far into the Super Bowl, I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of things. The Chargers finished adding their coordinators as expected. They brought in Minter from University of Michigan to take the defense. But this is the one I really want to know about. Our old friend, Greg Roman, has been brought in to run the Chargers offense. I have to be honest, that did not thrill me.
Look, I think Greg Roman is a good offensive coordinator when it comes to a certain style of quarterback that I don't believe Justin Herbert is. So I'll be very intrigued to see how this ends up working out. This could also, and I don't know if this is possible. This could mean they're going to go grab J.J. McCarthy at some point. I mean, I really don't know. I don't want to put that out because I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Justin Herbert was the Chargers' leading rusher for a few games down the stretch. So maybe they were like, hold my beer. We can make him.
He's a good enough athlete to do that, but he's not Colin Kaepernick. He's not Lamar Jackson. And even so, I'll actually no, that might be wrong. So I don't know if I should say that or not. I can't remember if Greg Roman was with Harbaugh at Stanford when he had Andrew Luck. I actually think he was.
I'll look real quick, but I think that you are possibly.
I don't know that Herbert and Luck are that far off the athleticism scale.
2009 and 2010.
So. And we saw what Andrew Luck did. I mean, for those of you who don't remember, that was like some of Stanford's greatest teams with Jim Harbaugh and Andrew Luck. And granted, Andrew Luck, again, arguably, unfortunately, NFL career cut short due to injury, was an incredible college quarterback.
It looks like he was also with the Bills with Tyrod Taylor, though. I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to. I'm going to look and see who his quarterback was when he was with the Ravens the first time. But it looks like 7. I just hit it off Pro Football. He had Steve McNair.
Okay.
So Steve McNair and Kyle Bowler.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think the offense has a chance to be very good. I just don't know what it's going to mean for Herbert and rushing. Because the other thing I think we have to talk about with Herbert, he's dealt with some kind of injury every single year as well. He's not been it's not been anything that's kept him out of multiple games until this year. I'll just be very curious to see how this ends up working out. I think he is a good rushing threat. We saw it with him at Oregon. We've seen it with him at times in Los Angeles, but I just don't think that's the best part of his game. I think that arm and what he can do is the best part of his game, but they have that familiarity. He's worked with Harbaugh for a very long time. Obviously, I made jokes about this last week, not with Jesse Minter, who is also going there to be the defensive coordinator, as you mentioned. The Harbaugh brothers seem to pass coordinators between each other quite often. Roman was also with John Harbaugh with Baltimore for multiple years, as we just mentioned with Lamar Jackson as well. So
he also, his first year in San Francisco, he had Alex Smith. Not that Smith couldn't run, but he wasn't
horrible.
No, but his first year, he only ran 52 times for 179 yards. He was mostly a passer. Yeah. I mean, that would probably more fit the mold. He also was the quarterback's coach for David Carr in Houston.
Well, that didn't work out well. Yeah, I mean, I
maybe not because of him, though. They had no line.
I will, if I was giving it a grade, I'd give it like a B+, because I think there's a chance for this to be really good, but I'm also a little worried. I wonder if some people are maybe overblowing that, because a lot of people, when they think Greg Roman, all they think is Lamar Jackson, Colin Kaepernick. Here comes Justin Herbert running the ball like 200 times. I just don't think that's going to happen. I know he can do it. I just don't think that's the part of his game I want to amplify if I'm his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, you're a little more bullish than me. I'd probably give it a C+. We'll see how it goes. But I wasn't super bullish on the head coaching hire, so we'll see how it goes. A couple of defensive switches. Looks like Mike Zimmer is going to be headed to the Cowboys to be their defensive coordinator. At the same time, Aiden Dirty, who was the defensive line coach for the Cowboys, goes to the Ravens as defensive coordinator. I would suspect Mike McDonald is probably going to call the defense. or it goes to the Seahawks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Seahawks. Yeah.
As defensive coordinator, I would suspect Mike McDonald is probably going to call the defense there. So don't know how big of an impact that makes. But Zimmer is interesting. Known as a defensive guy, I think one of the complaints we had when he was last with Washington or with the Vikings, which was the last time we saw him, was they had no defense to speak of.
Yeah, real quick on Harbaugh, I agree with you. I'd give that like a C minus. I am not bullish on that hire either, so I stand with you on that. With Zimmer, I'll say I'm, again, for we're putting a grade on it, I'd probably put a C plus here as well too, with a chance, maybe if like maybe with a little bit of extra credit, we can bump that to like a B minus, and here's why. They did have some very good defenses in Minnesota when he was first there. Now, how much of that was on him not getting the players through the draft? Because I feel like they were missing a lot of really good players on that defense and they really went offensive heavy. Or how much of that maybe was he just wasn't, I don't even want to say not cut out to be a head coach. Minnesota was very good under his tenure for a very long time. Maybe him going in and just being the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys with a loaded defense too, by the way. They have arguably, I say, top 5 defense in the NFC. So like, it's not like he's not going to be he's going to be lacking for talent on that defense. I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe it was with Minnesota not necessarily drafting a lot of these defensive studs and being a head coach. Maybe that got away from him a little bit. We will see. I think this is, unfortunately for him, I think this could be a one and done thing though. I think if Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys struggle again next year, that whole staff might be gone, so it won't matter.
Well, and they've set the bar so high because, I mean, essentially we're moderately considering Mike McCarthy's tenure a failure, even though he's won 12 games each of the first 3 years and won the division twice. I mean, they basically, I think, have to get to a Super Bowl or else the talk's going to start. I mean, I don't know how much of that resonates with Jerry Jones, but it will be 4 seasons. It's not like he hasn't given him a lot of runway, and he made substantial changes, so we shall see. You're more bullish again. Maybe it's the Friday soft grader in you, but I would give that, a solid C because that didn't impress me a lot. I mean, they had a chance to go get some. Yes, they have good personnel, but I mean, Zimmer hasn't been in anything in the NFL in a couple years, and the last we saw of him wasn't great. To be honest, I wasn't that excited about a potential Ron Rivera hire either, because there's another defensive head coach, and his tenure in Washington, I don't think they ever had much of a defense beyond his first year.
Nope.
So
yeah,
will be interesting. I would have been more impressed if Jerry had actually been able to talk Bill Belichick into being a defensive coordinator, which was all the rumors. I mean, that would have been kind of fascinating. The final piece of news, the Jets owner came out today. It was almost like one of those nobody. I hate Zach Wilson, and I'm not too fond of my coach moments from Woody Johnson. Basically, moderately prompted. They asked him how he felt about his team's season. He essentially issued what seems like a playoff or bust for Robert Saleh and their general manager, which makes some sense. But the really, uncontested shot was then he said, and we have to get a backup quarterback because this year we didn't have one.
Yeah.
For a team that is openly trying to trade Zach Wilson and maximize his trade value, what do you make of these comments?
I mean, it's not surprising. I feel like Woody Johnson has not been afraid to speak his mind in a way that illy affects his team in the past as well. For Saleh, it makes sense. Warranted or not, I feel like he came in with a lot of positive pub when he got that hire in the Jets. I mean, I distinctly remember talking about how I actually wanted the Browns to hire him. For the people who don't remember, he was one of the finalists with Kevin Stefanski coming off that 49ers defense. And I was like, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. They didn't have Clowney yet. Who was it? They had someone else, and they had a really good linebacker. For the life of me, I cannot remember who it was. He ended up going to Is it Joe Schobert? Am I remembering that correctly?
Schobert, yeah.
Schobert had like that really good year at linebacker before he left, I think, to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, they had this really good defense that year, and I was just like, oh, like, give me Salah with that defense. I like what he'll be able to do with them. I don't think it's unfair to want the Jets to at least make the playoffs. They've made a lot of all-in moves. Just have not been able to get it done. Some of that last year you can say is bad luck in losing Aaron Rodgers literally in game one on whatever it was, like the fourth drive of the game. I mean, there's only so much you can do, but I also think it's not unfair to blame Joe Douglas. You spent the second overall pick on a guy that, like, look, I get it. The fantasy football community gets a lot of things wrong, but there's a lot of us that were telling you Zach Wilson was not a first-round pick. And they took him with the second pick. I feel like even taking Trey Lance would have been a better pick at this point than Zach Wilson. I don't think it's, you know what, at least he'd have run around a little bit and maybe they could have gotten something. You can't get anything out of this guy now. I mean, even with him trashing him,
that's where I almost feel like the shots fired in this, there's a challenge to Saleh that they need to make the playoffs. And I think he feels that anyway. This felt more like a repudiation of Douglas because supposedly last offseason, the big rift between Douglas and Saleh had to do with Zach Wilson and that the coach wanted somebody else as a quarterback and wanted to go get somebody else as a quarterback after Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And Joe Douglas seemingly said, no, Zach Wilson's your guy. Well, it seems like their owner feels a little different. The only thing that I think's dumb is if you're actually attempting to trade him, which they've said all along.
Yeah.
These are the kind of thoughts you keep to yourself.
I mean, I agree, but at the same time, I also kind of view it as, like, as I was reading an article about it. When did he say that again?
Yesterday,
so maybe it was yesterday. I don't remember. I saw an article, I want to say it was on Fox, where they were like interviewing like random, it was during, they would talk to people at the Senior Bowl. I remember that part of it. And it was, they asked all these NFL execs different things, and they all said, like, at best, you're getting maybe a mid-day 3 pick. I mean, at this point, does it, maybe does it feel better? Just get the frustrations off your chest and say, okay, now you can't get a 5th-round pick. You're getting a 6th-round pick. Does it make that big a difference at this point when we're talking about that? Like, I don't even know if you could. I almost view him as kind of Johnny Manziel. Like, when the Browns wanted to get rid of him, they really couldn't. And I don't think Zach Wilson has shown it. Like, I remember the most positive thing I read in that article about Zach Wilson was them saying, I mean, he can make every throw on the field. And then it was nothing but like bad. And I just don't, if I'm Woody Johnson, hell, it's my team. Why not? If you want to say,
I mean, he was in Las Vegas for NFL honors, maybe.
Nah, I appreciate him being open and honest. I hope I would be that way if I own an NFL franchise one day. If I hate my quarterback, this guy sucks. Get him out of here. I want somebody else. Bring me Joe Flacco.
It is interesting, though, because none of us thought Zach Wilson did that great. But I've never been an incredible fan of Aaron Rodgers, as you know, and I'm less of a fan of the way he's conducted himself. But the nice thing I will say about last year is several times he did come out and seem to build up and defend Zach Wilson from Hard Knocks all the way through down the stretch.
Yeah.
So, for the owner to have done this, I don't know. Do you think it's hard to imagine like Wilson, Lance, I don't know if those guys are even going to end up having the same kind of traction as like a Sam Darnold, who's now a pretty decent backup. And we still don't even know what's going to happen with Mac Jones. The Patriots have been eerily silent. It's hard to tell how much of the shift of coaching impacted that. They also have the number 3 overall pick, and it would shock no one, I think, if they took a quarterback. So it's possible that 3 of those quarterbacks that went in the first half of the first round are gone. And Justin Fields is likely going to be on to his second team, despite how you and I feel about him in Chicago. It's an interesting draft.
thinking about that draft alone, how so correct me
Quarterbacks
if
went
I'm
1, 2,
wrong.
3, and it did nothing but cost the 49ers severely. Miami actually has a playoff team now because of that trade. Literally because of that trade. If you looked at all the pieces they acquired off of picks from San Francisco for giving up the right to take Lance.
No, it couldn't have been that year. Hurts wasn't in that class, right?
No, it's
Lawrence, I know.
yeah, Lawrence.
I feel like
Oh, maybe
missing
Jalen
some.
Hurts was.
Davis
Jalen
Mills
Hurts
was in that class.
Jalen Hurts was the second round. Yeah.
Was he? I can't remember if he was the year before, if he was in that class or not. Because if you really look at that whole class, I'll pull it up. Can you really be that excited about Trevor Lawrence either? Even though I know that he's it,
But at
like I
least he
know
has a job.
he'll be the starter at the Jacksonville Jaguars, but like I don't. It's weird and it's kind of funny when you think about looking back now. I mean, going back and looking at that.
No, it was Kyle Trask.
Okay.
Trask, Mond, and Davis Mills.
Yikes! I knew Davis Mills was in there. Yeah, that's right. Kyle Trask.
I don't think Mond ever did anything.
Nope.
Kyle Trask never even really going to get it. Doesn't really ever seem like he's going to see the field. So.
I mean, Kellen Mond, speaking of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, talking about Mike Zimmer earlier. Mike Zimmer had that famous press conference where they're like, "Are you going to play Kellen Mond at some point?" He's like, "No, I see him in practice every day." Just talking about how bad he sucked there.
And the other ones that were in there, they had Sam Ellinger, Ian Book went in that, Felipe Franks. Yeah. Hurts was the year. Hurts was the year before. Tua and Herbert, and
okay, so that's what.
So it was Burrow, Tua, Herbert, and then Hurts was the one that went in the second.
That's right. I couldn't remember because I was thinking about that in my head. It's like no, because I remember the playoffs. That was Mac Jones, Bama versus Justin Fields.
If you look at it, Buckeyes. We've had twice in the last 10 years where you had 5 quarterbacks go in the first round, and the 2021 class has done demonstrably worse, but I wouldn't say, Baker had a good year this year, but he had some rough going. Josh Rosen completely washed out. Josh Allen did pretty well. Sam Darnold has worked himself into a veteran backup role, but really Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were the only two that hit out of.
Yeah. The too many thought were going to be the 2 worst out of. I remember that class very well as well. A lot of people love themselves from Josh Rosen.
Well, and that's the whole thing. You bank on we'll just solve everything by finding a rookie quarterback in the draft. And I think if you looked at the last 5 or 6 years, I don't know how many no-brainer. Trevor Lawrence, you're right, was supposed to be like a generational changing prospect. And his first year we could write off maybe because of coaching. Second year, he had a little bit of a bump. I actually thought he regressed last year. Their whole offense regressed. And now I'm at the point where mid-tier QB2 is kind of what I think he is.
I mean, I will say I did believe he had the chance to be generational. I thought there's a lot more flaws in his game than people were giving him credit for. I thought him and Justin Fields were closer to each other now. It hasn't worked out for Fields either. I had Fields over him. But that's another reason why I keep pointing out, like everybody talking about that, taking Caleb and replacing Justin Fields, like just be careful what you wish for. The grass is not always greener on the other side, and these QB prospects are not perfect. There's a lot that is wrong with Caleb's game. He's a lot of fun to watch, but it'll be interesting to see. We'll talk about this in 5 years again and maybe see because he got, at least it sounds like possibly a chance for 4 quarterbacks to be going here in the next couple of months, and Caleb, Drake, Michael Penix, and whoever, for life of me, I'm forgetting that I know.
Did you ever pick an offensive coordinator?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think so.
I'm surprised that Shane.
Oh, Jaden Daniels. That's what I was. For life of me, could not remember who the other quarterback I was thinking.
Shane Waldron.
All right, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know.
He spent the previous 3 seasons with Seattle Seahawks.
That doesn't make me excited at all.
I mean, he did get a career year out of Geno.
Yeah, well, if that's something to hang your hat on, I guess we'll see.
All right. Well, let's move on to some fun prop bets before we dive strictly into the game. These are all prop bets that you can actually bet on, and I'm giving that as a caveat for when we get to the final one, which just made me laugh. But the first one, how long will the national anthem be? The over-under they gave is 90.5 seconds. Reba McEntire is the artist.
Taking the over.
I'm taking the over also. The 90.5 doesn't seem that long.
Yeah.
Coin toss, heads or tails?
Tails never fails.
I'm actually going heads. I don't know why. There's no rationale, I guess, behind picking.
No, there really isn't. I just always pick tails. It's just what I do.
Who do you think will win the coin toss?
Oh, who's the home team again?
The,
the 49ers?
Chiefs are the home team,
Chiefs
I believe, because they're in red.
So
49ers
that
in
means
white.
the 49ers get to call it, and I think it's going to be tails, and I like Christian McCaffrey. I think he's going to call tails, so I'm going to say the 49ers win.
I also think the 49ers win the coin toss. Opening drive, do you think it will yield a touchdown, field goal, turnover, or a punt?
So if I think the 49ers win it, I would bet Kyle Shanahan probably punts or kicks. I'm sorry, kicks to the Chiefs and gives them the ball the first of the second half. Patrick Mahomes, I think it's going to be a punt. I think the 49ers defense is going to get after him in that first drive, and force a punt.
I also think that the Chiefs will get the first offense, and I think that they will get a touchdown. And so my thinking here, so that gives us who do you think scores first? I'm going obviously with the Chiefs. If you watch throughout the playoffs, the Chiefs score early and then seem to kind of struggle to put points. Yeah. The 49ers defense in the playoffs has not been great at the beginning and has gotten demonstrably bad. I mean, look at what they did to Detroit in the second half. And I think you can't completely reverse all those things in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's fair. I will go the other way, though. I think the 49ers score first because I think that they will force Patrick Mahomes to punt or get a turnover. Could be a turnover as well. But I think that the 49ers force a change of possession and give it to themselves. And the one thing we have also seen in this playoff is the Kansas City Chiefs struggling to not necessarily stop the run with the running backs, but especially with the quarterbacks. But I love what CMC is doing. Debo Samuel's supposedly going to be healthy. I think the 49ers find a way to put some points on the board. I don't know if it's going to be a field goal or touchdown, but I think the 49ers score first.
So that leads right to the next one. What do you think the first score will be? I said touchdown opening drive for the Chiefs, so that's my...
I'll go field goal. I think the 49ers can't quite get it into the end zone because the Chiefs defense is very good this year. So I'll go field goal.
What do you think the first turnover will be? Options are interception, fumble, or turnover on downs.
Oh man, I kind of want to go interception because Purdy can throw them, and I think Mahomes can too. Mahomes' record in the Super Bowl is actually not great when it comes to touchdown interception. So I'll go interception.
I'm going to go turnover on downs because I think both of these teams are going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
So which team do you think will score 10 points first?
The Chiefs.
I'm going with the 49ers. I think the Chiefs will score on the opening drive and then maybe not again.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
Will either team score in the final 2 minutes of the first half?
Yes. Do I have to pick a team or just do I answer? Yeah, yes.
It says will either team was the prop. Yeah. I'm going to say no.
Interesting.
How many songs will Usher perform? The over-under here is 8.5. There is rumors he's going to be joined by some special guests.
So is it Usher songs or is it just songs in general? Because he's going to have multiple people on.
Well, I think he's going to have a piece of every song. So I'm going to say that it's songs in general.
I'll take the over, but I don't feel great about that.
I'm looking up Rihanna because I feel like last year she got 13 songs in 13 minutes. I'm going to go over because 8.5 sounds like a lot, but they basically play like the
half a song, if that.
Yeah. Like, and they medley them together. And that's the part that always ends up screwing you. They'll medley like 4 songs in 2 minutes. You're like,
I don't mean this as a shot at Usher, but like, does he have like
Yeah,
9-10
I
great
think you
hits.
could see
I
if
can
you
think of like
had
5 or 6, but
if you had a band like U2 or Journey or something, I would take the under because I think they're playing a couple
yeah,
of
greatest
big
hits.
anthems.
Yeah,
When you've had like performers and stuff like this, they usually cobble through and blast through, and especially if he has a bunch of special guests, they're gonna blast through a bunch of pieces
yeah.
of different collab songs. I'm gonna go with the over. Who will have more passing yards, Brock Purdy or Patrick Mahomes?
I'll go Mahomes because I feel like the 49ers can lean on McCaffrey more than I think Mahomes can lean on Pacheco.
I am going to go with Mahomes as well. Who do you think ends up with the most rushing yards?
CMC,
Yeah, McCaffrey's kind of I think
the
he's
easy answer.
exact. I like Pacheco, but I mean, McCaffrey had a mid game in the NFC Championship game and got 90.
My only fear with him is it's not limited to those two, right? It can be.
No, it's not.
My only fear is this is the one thing, like I said, the one thing that has burned the
money on
Chiefs.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
No, Brock Purdy, actually. The only thing that's hurt the Chiefs in the past 2 games, and I get Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are elite athletes, but if the Chiefs really
Purdy had 54 rushing yards in the NFC Championship game.
That's my thing. Like, if they really tried to hone in on stopping McCaffrey, maybe they start using him a bunch of like dump offs or something. He's not getting a lot of the rushing, and then Purdy gets those big plays like he did in the NFC Championship game, and he had that 30-yard run. Like, I don't think it's crazy. I'd bet Christian McCaffrey. That's like where I feel safer, but like I think Brock Purdy could be up there.
Who ends up with the most receiving yards? And this is an interesting one because you got tight ends in play. You got receivers.
I think it's got to be Kelsey. They spread the ball around so much on the 49ers side. Like, I don't know that. Like, it would probably be Debo. Of course, this will be the game that Brandon Ayuk goes off again in. But
right. I'm going with Brandon Ayuk.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's got to be Kelsey because like Mahomes will spread the ball around, but like when it comes down to it,
I just
Kelsey's
feel like
the guy.
The 49ers are going to be on him like a glove.
Oh, I agree, but Mahomes finds a way to get it done. I just,
Yeah. Who will win Super Bowl MVP?
The person who should have won the NFL MVP, Christian McCaffrey. Kidding. All you Lamar Jackson fans. It's a joke.
I am also going with Christian McCaffrey. The popular what I saw on the boards was Mahomes, Purdy, Kelsey, McCaffrey, Samuel, or other. But I think that it's definitely feels to me like it's one of those 5 because they're going to factor in somewhere. This was interesting. How many points will be scored? The over-under is 47.
47. I'm going to take the slight over. I think this could be very much like the NFC Championship game where they were talking about like the first to 30 is going to win this game. Like, I know both these defenses are good, but again, Mahomes just finds a way at times to make the impossible play happen, which will keep the Chiefs in the game. And I think Kyle Shanahan is just such a brilliant play caller that he'll find a way to keep the 49ers in this game as well. Because I think the Chiefs defense is coming into this game a tad bit underrated. Like, people keep talking about Mahomes. It's that defense that has gotten them to this game. So I think the better play is probably the under because of how good these defenses are, but I'm going to take the over. I think that this could be like a 24-27 type game, and that gets you over.
It could be. I am going to take the under because of the defenses here. San Francisco's first playoff game was 24-21. Kansas City scored 26 in their first game. I think they just barely got to 28 in what was a high-scoring game with the Bills, and they only had 17 in the AFC Championship game. I could see this being like 24-20 or even 21-17, something like that, because I don't think there's going to be as many points, so I'm taking the under. What color will the Gatorade be? The popular options were red, orange, blue, yellow, or other.
I'll go with See, I don't know if they'll have the red in there for them because they'll be wearing.
Because I feel like the two teams are red.
They are, but the 49ers will be wearing that white, so maybe they mix it up and they go a different color. That's what I'm not sure. I'll go red, but like I feel like they're gonna mix it up on us. It's gonna be blue.
I mean, blue would be my last choice. I'd probably take other over blue.
I think watch that Arctic breeze or whatever that blue flavor is. People seem to love it, and I'm not a fan. But
all right, and this you can actually bet this on the boards. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift on the field after the game?
No, and the only reason I'm saying no is because I don't think the Chiefs are going to win.
I think whether they won or
nope, if they win, he's doing it. He's getting down on a knee and he's asking her. It's all publicity stunt. The NFL, the writers have put it in the script, Matt. They put it in the script.
I mean, that's the darker view of their relationship. But I saw some of those videos after the AFC Championship game. I think they have a real connection. I also am not 100% sure that they're not already engaged. I mean, I feel like Tony Romo calling her his wife a few times indicates something. I mean, last time Jim Nantz didn't even bother to correct him. He did it like three times in the AFC Championship game. Yeah. But I just think that would be like the weirdest, most cliche thing, and I just don't see that happening. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Travis Kelce was on a dating show called Catching Kelce, and he's not against doing some cringy stuff. I'm just saying, we love him, but
Well, those are some of the fun prop bets that you can look up. I got those all off of sportsbook.com. But let's turn to the game. So the 49ers, 12-5 in the regular season. We're the number 1 seed in the NFC. Kansas City, 11-6 in the regular season, the number 3 seed. Meeting here in this game. I think the big question for the 49ers, we know they're loaded on, all their ancillary pieces, but it seems like the entire season and postseason has come down to whether or not you believe in Brock Purdy. What do you think they need from him in this game?
I think just to keep being himself, and that is a upper tier game manager quarterback. I mean, make the plays when you need to make them, and if you need to do something special, do exactly what you did in that NFC Championship game. Use your legs, get out of the pocket, get a couple yards, go down. I mean, like I said, he had that big 30-yard run that effectively, in a way, almost ended that game. I mean, I know Detroit still had a chance, but that was a massive win for them. I think it was like a 3rd and 8, could have been even longer. I don't think you have to ask much from him, and I think that's fine. I mean, I know he's come out and said like he could be better when they had him. I don't remember if he was wired up or whatever when Nick Bosa was asking him, like, do you expect to be here? And he's like, I could play better. I really don't think you need to ask much from him. Just keep running the offense and being I know people think game manager is a negative moniker on quarterbacks, but realistically, if we're being honest, Peyton Manning was a game manager. Now, he was an elite one. He was the highest level of game manager, but I mean, I guess you could argue his mind was like game changing, which I'll give that's fairly true. But like Brock Purdy doesn't come into this game with like that elite game breaking, whatever you want to call it, ability that you're going to put on with his legs, arm, mind, whatever. He doesn't have the arm talent and the escapability that Patrick Mahomes has. So like, I think just operate the offense, and when you need to make the big play, make the big play. And I think he can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I know even in our Slack channel, people have had a lot of static, especially when they were down against Green Bay. And then again, when they were down against Detroit. And yet, he's hung tough in there and come back. And I honestly don't think it was fair to put on him the fact that, especially in the Detroit game, that they were down, because their defense just didn't show up in the NFC Championship game in the first half. And that would be a concern going into the Super Bowl too. But I like what I've seen. I think, hopefully we'll get a good game for Brock Purdy. No matter what, he's had a good season, and he seems like a good fit for what Shanahan is trying to do. I know he didn't have the highest draft stock, but as we just mentioned, draft stock doesn't always portend greatness.
Yeah, I mean, in defense of our Slack channel, we have also watched Brock Purdy play 4 years at Iowa State, and
I mean, I get not loving. I'm not saying I think he's a generational talent, but I think he gets more hate than is deserving.
4 years at Iowa State is pretty hard to watch at times.
Well, but we've also now seen 2 years here in San Francisco that have been pretty nice to watch.
Proven a lot of people wrong. I will give you that.
I mean, I don't imagine watching Steve McNair play at Alcorn State was that exciting either.
I'll be honest, I have never watched Steve McNair play at Alcorn State. I've never gone and looked to see what that looked like, so I couldn't tell you, but
all right. So for the Chiefs, this is a very different Chiefs team than the last time they met the 49ers in the Super Bowl. That was a team that was a lot about high-flying offense. They still have Mahomes and Kelsey, but we've seen a more ball control offense that picks its spots. And as you mentioned, a very big defensive game. So what do they need to do? I would say the 49ers are the team that has more star power on offense now in this meeting.
Mm-hmm. I think, honestly, Mahomes needs to rein in the hero ball. Don't get rid of it completely because that's just a part of his game and it is who he is. But I really think I don't think we'll see a blowout, but I could very easily see this going the route of when the Chiefs played the Buccaneers in that Super Bowl, and we thought we were going to get this great game, and then Mahomes just tried to do too much at times against that defense. The 49ers defense, I don't think is quite as good as that Buccaneers defense, but I think it's up there. Mahomes has a propensity to turn the ball over, especially in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, and nobody's been able to take advantage of it. I mean, it's a little ridiculous that he's gotten, I will say, not all of it, but a little lucky at times when it's come to these games. I don't think he'll have that in this game. Kyle Shanahan's been here before, and I think Kyle Shanahan has realized in what happened with Atlanta against the Patriots, what can happen if you take your foot off the gas pedal. I don't think he's going to do that, so I think they just need to not play hero ball except for when they absolutely need it and just use the run game, play really good defense, and get Travis Kelce the ball so that he gets MVP so he proposes to Taylor Swift at the end of the game.
25 years ago, Brian Griese and Anthony Lynn were players. Mike Shanahan was a coach, and Ed McCaffrey was a player on the Super Bowl world champion Denver Broncos. 25 years later, Mike's son is the head coach. Brian Griese is the quarterback's coach. Anthony Lynn, I did not realize, is the running back's coach. And Christian McCaffrey is the star on the field. I am all in on the 49ers, but are you taking Taylor Swift's boyfriend or Christian McCaffrey in this?
So here's the thing. I want the 49ers to win. But now that you said all that, I feel like that's going to be all that's talked about on Sunday, and then we're going to see the Chiefs go out there and win another freaking Super Bowl because that's just how cruel life is. But I'm going to pick the 49ers. I think overall they are the better team, like the more complete team. I think the defense is just a tad bit better than the Chiefs. And while I think the Chiefs' offense is a tad bit better than the 49ers overall, I don't think it's that much of a difference. I will take the 49ers.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's ultimately going to, if you're breaking down categories, quarterback, you give the nod to the Chiefs. Yeah. Running back, overall, I'm giving the nod to 49ers. Receivers, overall, I'm giving a slight edge to the 49ers.
Agreed.
Coaching, you're giving the edge to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Defense is where, for me, it feels almost like a push, but that's if San Francisco's defense shows up. If San Francisco's defense does not show up and they spot the Chiefs 21 points, they aren't going to be able to do what they did to Detroit, to Kansas City. I firmly believe that's why I think Kansas City scores early, but that defense better, they said Steve Wilkes was putting the fear of God into them this week. That might not even be strong enough. You need to, but I'm still going with San Francisco.
Yeah. I'll take the 49ers, but I'm a little, it's all that's.
You
like
just want to hit that Taylor Swift prop at the end.
It's not even that. It's more so, like you said, all those things line up perfectly. And it's all of a sudden, it's like, can you just, like, the stories that will be written that 25 years after all the family ties and everything that were in that Super Bowl for the Denver Broncos, and now they're all here for the 49ers. This is the 49ers time. And then
Oh,
You
I
need
mean,
brick wall named Patrick Mahomes, like many people did with Tom Brady. Like that's kind of what I feel like, unfortunately.
you're certainly going to see, because Mike Shanahan was part of a Super Bowl winning staff for San Francisco too. Like Mike goes to those games. I've seen Ed McCaffrey. We already know he's going to be at that game. We saw Montana, Rice, and all that that is a set of sideline royalty that no offense, the Chiefs don't have, because their championships, those people are not still with us.
Well, if they win, that puts, where does that put the 49ers? Does that give them 5 Super Bowls now too?
I think that would give them,
or is it 4?
6 or 7.
Does it?
They already have 5.
Do they? I thought that would put them tied with so they'll jump to
Montana.
Cowboys.
Montana won 4. Young won 1.
Oh, that's where I messed up. I've mixed those.
I think that would
I
put them
split.
tied with the Steelers at 6. Because I think right now Steelers and do Patriots have 6?
The Patriots do have 6. Yeah. The Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco Niners are both tied with 5, so they do have 5. Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, so
well, Montana for sure had 4, because that was always Montana.
So I was splitting
and
it.
Steve Young got a 5th.
So yeah, so they will go to being tied with the Steelers and the Patriots for 6 for most Super Bowl victories for an NFL franchise, if they were to pull that off. But you know what's even crazier is, what does that put the Chiefs at? 3 if Patrick Mahomes gets
3 in 4 years. Yeah. 3 and 5 years. Sorry.
5 years, yeah.
3 and 5 years.
Packers and Giants.
I mean, and they would be the first to have back-to-back Super Bowls since the Patriots did it. Ironically, against Andy Reid, I believe.
Yep, 3 tied with your Denver Broncos. Washington, good for them.
Washington's were all in the 80s.
Yeah. I remember
Joe
that.
Gibbs.
I just didn't realize the Packers and the Giants. I knew the Giants, but I didn't realize the Packers had that many.
Well, they have one with Rodgers, one with Favre, and they have the first one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they've got 4. No, they've got 4 tied with the Giants. We're missing one somewhere.
I think they had 2 with Lombardi. Didn't they win the first 2?
I know they won the first one. I couldn't tell you about after that.
Well, that'll do it for us today. Hope you guys enjoy the Super Bowl.
Wait. Can I give you one really cool, really interesting stat really quick about the quarterbacks in this one? Brock Purdy got paid $49,402 per game this season. Patrick Mahomes got paid $53,000 and $53,048 for every pass attempt this season.
I know. I mean, so
the man is
in
loaded.
all seriousness, I know they don't probably have to, but I feel like the 49ers owe Brock Purdy a new contract, win or lose after this season, because 7th round money is, I mean, it's not bad for if you're working a regular job, but it's not good for the fact that you could get drilled and end up being paralyzed.
Yeah, I think I'll be intrigued to see what they do with him, because he's obviously very much outplayed his contract, but typically in the NFL, we see when a quarterback gets a contract, they jump to the highest paid player, highest paid quarterback.
I don't think that they would do that with him.
I don't either.
Also, usually when you're past the 2nd or 3rd round in the draft, aren't the rookie contracts? A lot of them are only 3 years,
3 to 4 years. Yeah, usually it depends on. See, I don't know about 7th rounders. I know 2nd round through a couple, it's 4. No, wait, is it 4? Yeah, because 1st rounders are 5, because there's 4 guaranteed.
Well, you have an
option. Have the option year. So
he signed a 4 years, so they have 2 more years after this.
So I don't know.
4th year, $3.74 million.
Hey, I mean, you know what?
It was great when you signed it after being. Well, also at the rookie scale, it's not like there's much room for negotiation.
No, not anymore. I'm just saying, I would take $3 million right now if someone offered. Just throwing that out there in the universe in case anybody's listening.
I also will take the $3 million. In fact, Matt and I will split it. If
I'll do that. Just give us both $1 million. You can keep the other $1 million for yourself. I'm good with that too. Let's work this out. Give us a call. All right.
Dennis is going to come back from vacation and be like, "What did I miss?"
Yeah, nothing. You better doing this full time now, by the way. But not it's not anything you did wrong.
Honestly, though, it's a statement on the current level of inflation. $1 million is not enough to retire on.
It really isn't. Unfortunately.
That might be just enough to pay off your house.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that cheery note, we will enjoy the Super Bowl. Hope you guys have fun. Dennis should be back with us Tuesday. We will look at the Super Bowl, and then we are going to do our first rookie mock draft because you know what? The season will be over on Tuesday, and it is time to look ahead and where we think some of these guys will land. Not knowing teams, not having seen the combine will be a little bit fun. And then we're going to start diving into looking at some of the past rookie classes. Matt and I already started giving the breakdown of the quarterback class of 2021, but we will give a more full breakdown, which might just cause people to have a breakdown when they remember where they took them in their rookie drafts. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Looking